Rezdôra is unquestionably one of the best Italian restaurants in New York City. It has a Michelin star, great reviews, and a pasta tasting menu. I've been to the restaurant before and loved it, but I just had to try their tasting menu and I wasn't disappointed.
Today is an absolutely beautiful day here in New York City. Right now I'm at Madison Square Park and I'm just relaxing until dinner, and I have a very exciting dinner planned. I'll be dining at what is unquestionably one of the best and most popular Italian restaurants in all of New York City. I'll be going to the Michelin Starred Rezdôra. On my previous visit to Rezdôra, I went for lunch and absolutely loved it. But for today, I'll be going for dinner for a very specific reason. My goal is to try their pasta tasting menu, which is only available for dinner. I love pasta, and the thought of having such a variety of pasta is really appealing for me. This pasta tasting menu is something that I've always wanted to try. Now, I've had a lot of tasting menus, but I've never had one devoted solely to pasta. Although Rezdôra is not the only restaurant doing something like this. The Italian restaurant Babbo, they have a pasta tasting menu, and the now sadly closed 2 Michelin-starred El Corro, they used to have a pasta tasting menu as well. However, even though I'm very excited to try Rezdôra's pasta tasting menu, I'm also a little skeptical because my one complaint about the restaurant from my last visit was that their portion sizes were incredibly small. If the a la carte portions of the pasta were that small, I can only imagine how tiny the tasting portions of the pasta will be. They may even give me a magnifying glass and tweezers to eat it. I do not know, but I am nevertheless very excited to try it. With that being said, it's time to head to Rezdôra for dinner and have some pasta.
Rezdôra is located in the Flatiron district and opened its doors in 2019 from Chef Stefano Secchi. Before starting his own restaurant, Secchi trained in Italy and even worked at the 3 Michelin starred and 2-time winner of the Best Restaurant in the World award, Osteria Francescana. When Secchi launched Rezdôra, it was an immediate hit. It earned 3 stars from the New York Times and achieved its Michelin star in 2021. Secchi recently opened Massara, a restaurant with a focus on Southern Italian cuisine, which is in fact right around the block from Rezdôra. That's a restaurant I'll definitely have to check out in the future. At 5 o'clock, Rezdôra opened its doors for dinner and I was soon seated. The restaurant isn't very large, but it has a cozy and warm atmosphere. During my last visit, I was seated along the restaurant's long row of tables. This time, I had a seat in a sort of elevated area in the back. I enjoyed this section a bit more, as you won't have as many people walking in front of your table, and it's just a bit more subdued. The music selection of the restaurant was nice, but I particularly appreciated the Italian language courses playing on the speakers in the washroom.
Questo è pulito.
We are happy.
I like the fact that I can take care of my business and learn something new in Rezdôra's bathroom. Not long after I was seated, my server gave me a complimentary glass of Lambrusco. In fact, before Rezdôra actually opened their doors for dinner, servers were handing out wine to those waiting in front of the restaurant, but I was seated before I could get a glass. I thought that was a very nice gesture of hospitality to do for so many guests. Plus, it was also a nice glass of Lambrusco. Once I settled in, I began to look over the menu. Rezdôra showcases the cuisine of Italy's Emilia-Romagna region with a focus on pasta. Some of the courses have unique names, like a pasta called Grandma Walking Through Forest in Emilia. In fact, Osteria Francescana, where Chef Secchi may be offering a nod to, has a menu that also labels dishes with amusing names. While I did have my eye on the regional pasta tasting, I also ordered a couple of a la carte courses as well. Next, I explored the beverage offerings. While I was happy with my Lambrusco, I also wanted something more. I went with a glass of the 2020 Villa Venti Primo Segno Sangiovese di Romagna Superiore. It was nice and maintained a strong, deep flavor. I also have to mention the water situation at the restaurant, as sparkling water, in addition to the standard still water, is offered free of charge. I really appreciated this, as I find the carbonation in sparkling water to be a better palate cleanser compared to still water. It wasn't long after ordering that I was presented with an amuse. It was a small tart, and I believe it contained pepper and basil. I liked it. It was a pleasant bite to start the evening. Next, I was presented with one of my a la carte dishes, the cacio e pepe in Emilia. Basically, it was a lettuce salad with pecorino dressing and cracked pepper. I figured that since I would be eating mainly pasta, some vegetables would do me good. With that salad, I felt like I made a solid choice. The lettuce was fresh and crisp, but there was also a bit of creamy cheesiness inside. I also enjoyed the bite and sharpness of the pecorino cheese and cracked pepper. Since the dish was divided into 2 portions, I felt like it would also be a good course for sharing, but I was glad to have it all to myself. After finishing the salad, I was presented with the first official course of the pasta tasting menu. It was a sort of soup with pasta in which the broth was poured tableside. The course was excellent. It felt like the perfect comforting dish for a cold winter day. In the soup were these mini stuffed tortellini, and they were delicious. The broth was rich and tasty too. It was fashioned with capon, which are castrated male chickens. I love meat, but damn, I feel for that chicken. Overall, that was a solid course to start off the tasting menu. Next up, I believe, was a garganelli pasta, and it was beautiful in its simplicity. The pasta was resting on a bright orange sauce and topped with a creamy cheese. It was a delicious dish. There was nothing complex about it at all, but the flavors hit all the right marks. Texturally, the pasta was a solid al dente. Now, I found that Rezdôra does cook their pasta a bit more on the al dente side compared to other New York City Italian restaurants. While I enjoy how they prepare their pasta, I know texturally others may prefer it with a little less chew. Regardless, I enjoyed that second course. All of the flavors worked well. Next up, I believe, was a spinach tortelloni. One of the things that I didn't like about Rezdôra's pasta tasting menu was that the courses weren't listed on the menu. As a result, it was a bit difficult at points to keep up with what exactly I was eating. Nevertheless, I really liked that dish. While there were only 3 pieces, each were a tasty, perfectly cooked, well-stuffed little bundle. Upon taking a bite, the pasta gave way to an explosion of rich and creamy cheese. Once again, Rezdôra delivered another solid course. Following the tortelloni was an elegantly woven serving of tagliolini with a ragu from Modena. I was asked if I would like some Parmesan shaved onto the dish, which of course I said yes to. I almost never say no to cheese. To put it plainly, I loved it. Out of all the pastas I had so far that evening, the tagliolini became my favorite after taking a single bite, and yet it was probably the simplest dish I had that night. The pasta was texturally satisfying, but it was the combination of the rich and well-balanced ragu that clung to the noodles that made that course a winner. So far, I felt like I enjoyed a good variety of pastas, but sadly, there was only one left to go. Last but not least was the annolini di Parma that was finished with an aged balsamic vinegar from Modena that was poured tableside. The pasta contained a meat filling and was also topped with a Parmigiano sauce. Just like everything else I had over the course of my meal, the annolini was wonderful. Each perfectly cooked little piece had a fantastic savory and salty filling that was complemented by the umami richness of the Parmesan sauce. I also loved the contrast with the tart, sweet and sour balsamic vinegar, which was excellent. Overall, the regional pasta tasting at Rezdôra certainly ended on a high note. Unfortunately, the tasting doesn't include a dessert, but I felt like getting one a la carte, so I looked over the menu. While the pasta selection at Rezdôra may be pretty interesting, I can't say the dessert offerings are on the same level. Still, I wanted something sweet, so I ordered a tiramisu. However, before my dessert, I was presented with a sort of digestif. I'm not sure what specifically it was, but I believe my server said it contained distilled walnuts, so it could have very well been a nocino. Whatever it was, I really enjoyed it. The flavor was was strong and bold. It was the perfect transition to dessert. I'm also not sure if it was part of the tasting menu or if it was just given to me. Regardless, I was glad and grateful to drink it. Soon enough, I was presented with my tiramisu. The presentation was simple. While some of New York City's other top Italian spots have offered unique takes on the dish, Rezdôra's version was purely traditional. The tiramisu was incredible on every level. From taste to texture, it hit all the marks and I loved it. However, I was quite amused by how the dish was labeled on the menu. It said the tiramisu was enough for 2, but better for 1. Let me be clear, the second you tried this dessert, you're not going to want to share it. It doesn't matter who you're splitting this dish with because after taking a bite, you will inform your dining companion to go to hell if they even think about sampling that tiramisu. For the sake of preserving friendships to marriages, it's best that everyone get their own tiramisu because it's just that good. After finishing my dessert, I was given one more bite, a nice, pleasant little chocolate. Finally, it was time for the bill, and it was quite a bill. My total came to $164.42, but with my tip, I spent a bit over 196 bucks. Yeah, that was expensive, although I loved that dinner. It was just my kind of meal, with multiple delicious courses, a variety of drinks, and great service. I was happy.
I just finished with my dinner at Rezdôra. That was absolutely excellent. I really enjoyed that. Once again, there's no question about it, Rezdôra is one of the best Italian restaurants in New York City. Now, I loved the pasta tasting. However, I would still probably recommend people to go a la carte. Now, for me, when it comes to pasta specifically, I like taking big bites. I want a big mouthful of pasta, and you really can't quite do that with the tasting menu. At the same time, I did like every dish that I had with Rezdôra's pasta tasting menu. Plus, there's the fact that some of the courses on the tasting menu are courses that are not available a la carte. As a result, I do think that is a reason to go for the pasta tasting menu, but if you're only gonna go to Rezdôra once, I think a la carte is the way to go. This is actually different because with most restaurants, I think the tasting menu is the best option since you really get to sample a lot of dishes, but I think with Rezdôra, the portion sizes and the fact that it's pasta, yeah, a la carte is what I would do. However, if you do go for the tasting menu, I think I made the right move by getting an appetizer and finishing with the dessert. I am adequately filled up. You know, out of all the tasting menus that I've ever had, I think there have only been 2 that have actually left me stuffed. One being Rezdôra in Buenos Aires, the other being the Feast at Sean Brock's Audrey in Nashville. To be fair, I have a very large appetite, but I think even if you are a normal person, I think getting an appetizer or finishing with the dessert is a good move if you're gonna have the pasta tasting menu at Rezdôra. And there's no doubt about it, Rezdôra is a costly restaurant. It's a special occasion type of place, and if you're gonna go there, it's probably best not to cut corners. Just go all out, bite the bullet, and enjoy the experience. I certainly enjoyed my experience this evening. The pasta tasting menu at Rezdôra was excellent, and I will certainly be back to that fantastic restaurant.